All right, guys, what's going on? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And the popular topic lately on YouTube, as far as first-person shooters are concerned over the last few days or so, is that Activision is scared of these smaller developers that wanted to do the Modern Warfare 2 Remastered mod, and they're scared of the SM2 guys or SM Squared guys and stuff like that. And I was like, what? Wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me that a multi-billion-dollar company who's also recently gotten more powerful because they got the backing of Microsoft now is scared of these little guys? Like, what kind of bullshit is that? And then while I was playing casually on one of my PS4 games that I've been collecting hard copy games for, and the game that I was playing right before recording this was Darksiders, the Webmasters edition. Is a really good game. It's very reminiscent of classic God of War. Highly recommend it if you guys haven't played it. So anyway, after a session of playing that game for a couple of hours, I was simultaneously thinking about this topic that we're discussing, and then my critical thinking skills kicked in. My critical thinking skills kicked in, and then some wise words from the past all of a sudden just appeared in the present. And what wise words are those? Well, somebody once told me that the smart people are always going to take advantage of the not so smart people, right? I'm obviously paraphrasing when I say that, but basically that's what I was told. And obviously this is correct. It's been done ever since the beginning of time, and then some, right? So I started thinking, like, holy crap. And then all of a sudden, there's one specific thing that just came into my mind that just like a ton of bricks landed right in my brain. And all of a sudden I was like, wow, they're right. These guys that have so much money, so much this, so much that, are actually threatened by the smaller developers that are just doing this out of a passion project. And there's two things that came to mind. The first thing was that, of course, they're scared. They are scared of the minority of players that are, you know, good players overpowering the vast majority of players who are not so good players, and they're afraid that those people are ruining the experience for other people. So therefore they invented engagement optimized matchmaking in order to attempt to nerf us. I mean, oh my goodness, no wonder. I mean, if there's nothing that shows that to be true more than anything, that would be it right there. And then in relation to XDefiant, now obviously we know that the majority of the devs over on XDefiant, or a significant percentage of the developers on XDefiant, are former Call of Duty devs, including the executive producer Mark Rubin himself, right? So when XDefiant was either announced or about to be released or something like that, I don't remember when exactly in time, they ended up getting blocked on Twitter or X. The XDefiant guys ended up getting blocked on Twitter or X by Activision and Call of Duty, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember when this happened, but I remember specifically seeing it at one point in time on Twitter or X a while ago, and I was like, holy crap. And that was the other thing that popped into my mind when I realized, like, holy crap, maybe these guys are intimidated. And it's like I mean, quite frankly, if you think about it, all they really have to do is stop the EOMM BS, because no matter how bad of a player you are, unless you're in the protective bracket, in other words, you're literally handicapped to where you're not able to play normally like everybody else, you know, that would be the only exception, in which there's always been a protective bracket for that. Which is what reverse boosters are running into whenever they decide to reverse boost. They're running into a lot of these people or whatnot. So, which is absolutely terrible if you ask me. But other than that, if you're not a handicapped person, you really don't need to be held by the hand you never ever did. Simple as that. No matter what you are made to believe. So, I mean, earlier today, I was even playing X Defiant. Today was my day off, so I got a lot of gaming in, and I was playing very casually, and I was using an LMG, and the game just seemed to really slow down in pace or whatnot. I mean, of course, there's always going to be, you know, a few bunny hoppers here and there, but if you're using a gun like an LMG, for instance, or a weapon that is a little bit more distant and you're using it properly, let me tell you, man, the game kind of slows down a bit because you are taking people out from a more, you know, distant position, and you're using the weapon the way you're supposed to, and you're navigating the map properly, and it's like you're just kind of taking targets out at a distance. Now, obviously, you're going to run into a few close quarters engagements, but it is what it is. That's the beauty of an arcade shooter. But there's definitely ways to where you can combat a lot of the BS, and that's what the lack of an engagement optimized matchmaking type of algorithm allows you to do. And you know, because once you get to a certain point with engagement optimized matchmaking, it consistently adjusts to where your experience is going to be pretty much the same day in and day out. And I've had people in the comment section, explain to me and tell me that, like, hey, I'm a super casual here, my age is such and such, I got a wife, I got kids, I got a full-time job and all this kind of stuff, and I hate engagement optimized matchmaking or skill-based matchmaking. I have noticed that, and again, I'm paraphrasing when I say what they've commented, but it's like they're explaining to me that they've gotten better over time. And with Call of Duty, it's pretty much the same day in and day out, as opposed to, you know, just spending your time at the game and trying to figure out what you're doing wrong and just get better that way, you know, because everybody's got the capability and the ability to do that. And there's always going to be, when ping is king, when ping is truly king, and there's no algorithm in the background, what ends up happening is you literally have the chance from an every single game basis. Of course, there's a few times where you're not, if you're running into a full ass team, which I happen to run into. As a matter of fact, I even recorded some gameplay to where I ran into a full ass team and everybody on my team quit except me. Okay, I kid you not. And I even got a friendly message at the end. I might even use that gameplay for this particular commentary. But anyway, the thing is, like, you don't need we don't need an algorithm or whatnot. There's no need to be intimidated by players who are quote unquote better. You can become that player. You can become a more pain in the ass for the other team when you put in the proper time and the proper technique to learn to get better. You know, it doesn't matter if it's the year 2024. You don't need it. You never did. And it's just gotten to the point now to where a lot of people, a significant amount of people, believe that it is necessary when it actually isn't. And it's really hard to try to convince these people that it really is not necessary. But it is what it is, man. I mean, you got the minority of people are, what's it called? You got these guys that are the minority of people that are like, let's say 30% of the entire popularity of a game are like the good players, right? 10% of those guys being guys that want to be pros, and then the 1% of those guys are pros, right? So you've got your top 1% who are pro players, and then you got the other 9% that are trying to be pro, and then you got the other 20%, which equals, you know, a total of 30 out of the entire 100 that are, you know, players that are good or significantly above average. And these players, these 30% of players, are severely feared by everybody else, or should I say, severely feared by the people that run things, so to speak. So they ended up pretty much inventing a system that will, quote unquote, keep them at bay no matter what. And of course, at the same time, it increases the chances of them making money because players are more likely able to buy something. And the thing is, it's really hard to say so because, quite frankly, I've played a lot of Call of Duty titles for a long time, and the ones that I played the least are actually the modern Call of Duty titles because we know about the algorithm we have for years now. And but before then, I had played a very significant amount of Call of Duty. Not even if I wasn't creating content on here, I would have still played the living hell out of Call of Duty. And let me tell you, I absolutely never bought anything from the store when it comes to Call of Duty, ever. And I played more than your average folks, you know, before Modern Warfare 2019. So, you you know, and again, I might just be one of those people that just doesn't buy anything in the store, but I'm pretty sure there's a significant amount of people that are like me that'll just play the hell out of the game, but have no interest in buying anything in the store because to them, there's no value to it. As a matter of fact, when you look at it from a real world perspective, there is no value. And of course, it doesn't have much value after the Call of Duty game ends, right? It doesn't transfer from one game to the other. So once you buy it, it's done. You can't, you know, see that again in another Call of Duty title, which is pretty sad, you know, especially since you spent your hard-earned money on something that, you know, that doesn't really change anything if you think about it. But it is what it is. I guess there are a percentage of people that do buy these things, and and the company makes money hand over fist because of this, unfortunately. And even when it comes to games like X Defiant, I'll even point the finger at X Defiant. You know, I'm sure that the microtransactions that they do have, that there are players out there that are buying them, you know, regardless of whatever price they are. You know, if they see something they like, they're going to buy it. And quite frankly, I'm sure it's made a difference, a significant difference in terms of what goes into, you know, in terms of the amount of profits that the game itself is able to obtain. So therefore, they are able to, like, for instance, in my previous video, I had mentioned that the team is adding more members now. The X Defiant team is about to expand. And I would argue that maybe if it wasn't for those, especially since X Defiant's a free-to-play game, if it wasn't for those microtransactions, that you know, that maybe that wouldn't be the case. So maybe the game, financially speaking, is not as dead as a lot of people think it is. I mean, it's probably dropped off a very, very, very significant amount since, you know, the first month or so. But with that being said, it's still kicking, it's still going. It's not dead, but it's not exactly where it was within the first month of launch. That's for sure. But again, there's no algorithm in place to basically nerf the good players, so to speak. There is team balancing, but there's no algorithm to nerf, you know, in the form of EOMM or SBMM in casual. So and looky here, you know, X Defiant is able to survive from microtransactions and thrive from microtransactions because I'm pretty sure that that's where the money came from to get more devs onto the team. Simple as that. So and that's, if you think about it, that is the way that you actually can show support to the devs, is by buying the microtransactions when it comes to a free-to-play shooter. So, I mean, obviously you can show your support by playing the game. Obviously buying the battle pass helps support the game. And of course, using the store supports the game. Now, with that being said, I'm not saying that you should spend your money on the store if you don't want to, right? I'm not, you know, I have yet to buy anything in the store other than the battle pass for the first time when the game came out. And then after that, I ended up accumulating X coins, I think they're called, or whatnot. And I just bought the other battle pass using X coins that I've had left over from the first one, and that I've obtained from, you know, continuing the battle pass. So I haven't spent a dime since then on the game or whatnot. And but even for every season, I would buy the battle pass again and again every single season, though, because I do want to show support for the devs in that way, in a small way, so to speak, right? So because they're doing their jobs, they're doing it right, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do when they get to a certain point to where they can actually get the wheels turning like they originally intended. So unfortunately, it's just one of those things. It's just one of those things that we're just going to have to wait for as far as X Defiant goes. But my point still stands. You don't need an algorithm in place to maximize profits. But as we know, especially thanks to, you know, the company of Activision, corporate greed, and not just Activision, but other corporations that have nothing to do with gaming, corporate greed literally knows no bounds. And it's nice to see that there are other small developers out there that are going to be developing a game simply for the sake of a good game, right? And then let the money follow, right? If the game sells very well, you will make money. You know, there's a few game developers out there that are still doing that. And as far as game quality is concerned, they still remain the best of the best. Just to name a couple, FromSoft, right? The guys that created Elden Ring, for instance. There's no microtransactions in that game. There's a DLC expansion, but, you know, there's no microtransactions or whatnot. And you are definitely getting the bang for your buck for $60 or $70 that you've paid for that game. 100%. There's a lot to do. The world is absolutely massive, and it has replayability. What more could you possibly want? And the game actually won Game of the Year, and rightfully so. Sony Santa Monica is another really great development studio that I've always had a lot of respect for. Their God of War franchise is very excellent. I'm really interested to seeing what they're doing for the next title, and it's gonna be a hell of a ride. Whatever it is that they're gonna give us, we know it's gonna be a hell of a ride, and we know it's gonna be a quality game. So therefore, that game is gonna be worth investing. Now, if you see the Rocksteady, what happened to Rocksteady happened to Sony Santa Monica, then obviously I would say that take that as a red flag. Things might not end up so well. So again, corporate greed knows no ends. It knows no bounds. So just bear that in mind. And of course, that's one of the things that I have a close eye on when it comes to Ubisoft, because Ubisoft does not have a track record that is exactly unforgettable, so to speak, because you guys in the comment section were the ones to warn me about Ubisoft. So there you go. So it's one of those things to keep an eye on as well. And I'm pretty sure the devs are not the ones that are making the prices on whatever microtransactions XDefiant sells in the store either. The devs have to create it, but in terms of what the prices are, that's probably not up to the devs. That's probably the CEO and the higher ups or whatnot. So it is what it is. So, but if it gets us to a game that, you know, reaches its full potential, then I guess so be it. But at the same time, I'm not happy with how microtransactions are handled nowadays, XDefiant included. I think a lot of things are just overpriced, in my opinion. So anyway, I think that concludes this commentary, guys. Let me know down in the comment section what your opinions are on the matter. I found it very fascinating, because at first, to me, it sounded like total bullshit. But then all of a sudden you do some critical thinking and it's like, holy crap, it's true. Especially since one of the developers for the Modern Warfare Remastered mod basically made a video and kind of proving it to that is actually the case, that they are intimidated by them and they don't want to hinder any attention away from Black Ops 6. So it is what it is, man. But anyway, yeah, that's going to conclude this one, guys. Let me know down in the comment section what you think. And as always, I like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.